women and relationships and things like that. But man, we have to come to grips on where does all of that leave that child. Because I was forced to learn about men through abuse, emotional abuse, and also verbally and physically, due to the fact that I had no male guidance to provide that strength that I needed and the mental capacity to even handle relationships with the opposite sex. And some of that did affect most of my relationships, whether male or female. But I made a choice to not let that destroy my life. I made a choice to make that be a motivator to teach others how to not have inner peace, even though that other half wasn't around. I mean, come to find out, I'm almost 40 and I'm very, very, very blessed to, even though I didn't have a father, to be blessed to even be alive. You know what I'm saying? Because it could have been a lot worse. And I must say, it was very hard growing up, but I did have two fathers that I value very much, and those were my two uncles. When I came around, my uncles were in the house, so I did have a male figure there. They weren't just my fathers. I looked up to them like they were my fathers. And I'm tough and headstrong and very ambitious and responsible because I learned from them too. So I want to say shout out to both of my uncles. You know who you are. From teaching me things to showing me how men are to just being there and spending that time. Because what I really wanted from my father was some time. I didn't care about what he bought me. I didn't care about where he took me. It was just the fact that I was needed in his life. So yeah, for years, it was very hard for me to honor him and to understand what honor was. A lot of us don't honor things or people or situations because we don't understand. And it's very easy to reject things that you don't understand, which is completely normal. But there's a choice in that. You either choose to understand or you choose to not understand. And my next question: does honor your father and mother apply to absentee parents? I think it does. I was an absentee parent for 3.5 years. I went on the road to sell magazines to get a different career, but I was running from an abusive relationship with my son's father. So there was no way I could raise them in the mental capacity that I had and also the financial situation that I was in. There was no way for me to figure out things on my own, and I needed to be around some people that were successful in actually getting their needs met, let alone having a successful life. And so I got around those people just to train me to move into what I needed to in life. And I was very impacted mostly by men, women too, but mostly by men, to, hold up the leader role, the responsibility role of, being in this world as a good citizen. And so I did get a lot of opposition when I did return to my children because they didn't understand why I left and they took it as me leaving them. But actually, I did leave to save my own life because it's bad enough they didn't have a father for their life. And so due to situations with what I had going on in abuse is just low tolerance. I have no tolerance for that. And I knew at a young age that was not the way to go in a relationship. And then seeing the abuse within some of my family members and relatives and how they treated each other, I never felt like hate was the way to go. So I did want my respect. I did want to have a relationship with them. And there was a lot of anger and frustration and a lot of explaining I had to do throughout the years. It didn't happen overnight, but I'm very blessed to be able to have now a relationship with my children early. I didn't leave them long, but I left them long enough. And they're so resourceful. They're very, very strong-willed children. I really don't have any worries because the life you save might be your own, and I'm here to tell it. So that's why it is what it is sometimes, because, the Lord has his way of doing things and we may not understand it, but later on down the road, when you seek knowledge, it will eventually come to you. So I do believe that you should honor your father and mother, whether they're there or not, because just like you, they're a person at the end of the day, and they had situations and circumstances that they just couldn't control. And you, as their child, should understand that there's situations where you just can't be around because your mental capacity isn't in place for you to deal with that particular situation. So I think, building that relationship or unifying yourselves again for the second time, it's hard work, but it's worth it if that's the person you love. And honor comes along with that, even though you never know the situation. If you grew up without your father, if he came back in your life, would you forgive him? Yes, I would. I've forgiven him already. Because when I became a parent myself, I learned why things happened the way they happened and the reasons why I had to go through those things, because all that made me the woman I am today. All of that made me who I am today, stronger, wiser, and being able to feel that I've accomplished forgiveness. Forgiveness is not so much for the other person. Forgiveness is for your inner peace and your well-being, because like I said, you only have control over what you can do. What others do, you don't have control over that, but you control how you react to it. And this took years to get across to myself. And some of that I'm still working on, because I will never understand why he stepped out until I talk to him. And hopefully one day I will. And my last question is, how do you honor someone who isn't honorable? You might have been in an abusive relationship with your parents, or, they might have been in the same household with you and they wasn't very talkative or supportive, but you only can do what you can do, but still honor them. Because as far as the word of God, if you honor your parents, it's a first commandment with the promise that your days on this earth will be long. And so everybody, I believe, wants to live a long life. Well, it starts with honoring your parents. So we'll be talking a little bit about those 4 questions. So let's reflect on these questions as we continue on and go off into EDU and put this all together. The first thing that I want to reflect on is honor the individual as a person. No one is perfect, but just as important. I think we forget that when we point fingers at other people's flaws and point fingers at people that, you feel that they've done you wrong, and we forget that we too have faults and we too have unfinished business, and we have people that resent us for what we've done to them. And we must look at that every time we want to dishonor someone or discredit someone, for that matter. Honor doesn't mean a relationship. I had to learn that. I had to let go of the emotions and understand that God is in control of why that relationship isn't in place. Like I said earlier, it may have been the best thing of you not being in a relationship with this person, because it wasn't for your well-being. It may be your safety. It may be for your emotional health, your mental health. All of that ties into it, but still honor him. Don't discredit him, because especially if you're a parent yourself, you wouldn't want your kids doing that to you. And the discreditment might not even be true. You just heard. That's why it's always good as Black people to sit down and have a conversation instead of going all over Facebook bashing somebody, especially when you got their number, you can call. What is the problem with our society today that it's so easy to bash somebody about what they've done to you or to each other, but they never look inside themselves and take responsibility of not trying to build a relationship, not trying to find this absentee parent, not trying to find the answers to the questions, and most importantly, not praying about it and asking God why these things are happening. And I know from experience that he definitely will answer your questions. But letting go entirely gives you inner peace. Sometimes letting go and not worrying about it and moving on with your life is the best thing you can do. And deal with it when the time comes. And sometimes when that time comes and that space of years and years and not talking to that one parent goes, you learn and you grow and you see better insight and you get more wise and you say, hey, I could actually now sit down and not have resentment in my heart and really tell this person how I feel without making them resent me for what I said. Because it's still honor at the end of the day. And honoring doesn't mean excusing the behavior. Yeah, I don't excuse the fact that you weren't there. I don't excuse the fact that you could have made better decisions. But I do understand this. I understand that. Whatever the reasons why. And then live in the truth of that and guard your heart. Take it one day at a time. If they're willing to listen to what you have to say, make sure that you're mentally ready for that, emotionally ready for that, because things are said. And once they're said, you can't take them back. So we also must honor ourselves. And to heal, we must stop believing falsehoods of our childhood. You know, it was funny. My mom told my brother when he first got married, it was really funny. She said, do not take what me and your father taught you into your marriage. Get your own experiences. Do your own things. Explore your own life in your relationship. Don't copy what I did. And I believe that for my children too. You know, what not to do. And I think that's what we need to look at instead of resenting our parents for what they did. They have their reasons. And unless you're a parent yourself, you know at that time you're doing the best you can. Always remember that. But it took me till now to understand developing myself as a person and learning personal development, that it all starts with you. The forgiveness, letting go of the ego, letting go of the gossip, the resentment, all of that stuff. You have to make a choice and say, am I going to let this destroy me, or I'm going to let this make me a better person? And fathers, try hard to stay in your child's life, your daughters, your sons. Check on them from time to time. Give them a call. See how they're doing and be genuinely interested in what they have to say. And I know some of it may be hurtful and you don't want to hear it, but it did help me with my children because they really were hurt the fact that I left them and I didn't take them with me, but it would have hurted them even more if I did, because that wasn't an environment for them. That was an environment for me to change, so that when I did come back to them, I was ready to deal with whatever came, and we were ready to heal and ready to reconcile differences. And it's an everyday thing. So I know I sound happy on this radio show most of the time and I'm geeked up or whatever, but I still have issues as a parent from what the absentee father left me. But I have to make a decision to say, you know what? I'm not going to let this break me. I'm going to teach my children better. You know, if you want to have children, get married, be in a relationship with a person you're having children with. Don't be careless with your body. Don't be careless with your heart. You know, parents in general, teach your children that. Talk to them. Tell them the truth about your hurt and pain and what really happened. And you be amazed how slowly your kids will be drawn back to you. But you have to be honest with them, because if you don't, you got more explaining to do. So when we come back, we're going to do some EDU, and we're going to be on, does your father and mother apply to deadbeat parents? And we're going to find that at crosswalk.com/family/kids/honor-you-father-and-mother-apply-to-deadbeat-parents.html. So stay tuned, y'all. 1